big one we want to talk about for sure, because he deserves our respect here, is Kevin Conroy.
Mhm.
He has unfortunately passed away at only 66. I thought he
I
was
know.
older than this, but yeah,
I feel like it's because the Batman animated series feels like it started so long ago.
maybe, yeah.
It
He's
feels
always
that way
looked like
even though it's
thin
like
and older.
well, and I feel like the Batman series has always felt older even though it was like a part of our childhood. It just feels
Right.
like longer ago.
Yep. I saw someone post a thing that says humanity peaked or something like that at, or the peak of humanity, Batman the animated series. It just was like a good time and such an amazing show that like didn't have any right to exist. It was like
Yeah.
it was a show, an American cartoon in a time when this is not what American cartoons did. Like the
Mhm.
only time you'd be getting something this sort of caliber with a continuing story and drama really would be from anime, and it
Mhm.
wasn't particularly prevalent here at the time. So a lot of people, we've had in our discussions best Batman. A lot of people consider it Kevin Conroy. Like that voice is iconic for
It
the
really
role.
is.
And like he's spent a life being Batman, and
Mhm.
what a what a what a great role that I don't think there's anyone that complains about his his standing as
No.
Batman. No one's
No.
like, "Oh boy, I didn't really prefer that." I don't think there's a
No.
single person like that. So,
No, it's amazing how his voice like fills out the Bruce Wayne slash Batman of that series. It's amazing because you would not expect it from his physical body, but it's just such a perfect match from like top to bottom for that animated Batman. It's amazing.
mhm, yep. And he he did write the difference between Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yes.
Whereas others, Christian Bale, try way
I
too
know.
hard.
I know.
This is just natural, He sounds like he's a rich billionaire on the
Mhm.
town, or he sounds like a guy that you don't want to mess with. He's beating you up in the alley, Like
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Well, and his
So
Batman had room for comedy too, which I
yeah,
mean, not to
actually.
get too into the weeds, um, is a failure, I think, of Nolan's. Like they're obviously not
Hmm.
about comedy and they're not really like the vehicle for that sort of thing, but I think it's part of the pressure that that Christian Bale is under in those movies because there's no like true comedic moments. Like I was watching some
Hmm.
like greatest hits of the Batman animated series and there's dramatic, there's funny, there's heartwarming, um there's just like a range of emotion that just like you can't quite hit I think in something like Christopher Nolan's universe.
Yep. I argue that Christopher Nolan's trilogy doesn't age as well as like Tim Burton's movies. I think you can
Mhm.
still go back and watch the Tim Burton films, and in my opinion, still Batman Forever, and those hold up very well. The Dark Knight trilogy, though I'm very happy they exist and I like them, um, doesn't age as well. Like whether it's exposition, it's a couple of corny lines somewhere, whether
Mhm.
it's Batman's voice, or whether it's like the idea that we have to be uber realistic, yet
Yeah.
they say that and then don't do all kinds of things that aren't realistic at all. Like it's
Mhm.
oh, we want to only do things that feel grounded. So we don't want to have Bane actually like juice up and grow and get bigger and stuff like that. Yet at the same time, we're gonna have this giant, basically tank Batmobile jumping with a jet power thing
Yeah.
across the rooftops and not just falling through every building it touches. Because
Sure.
I just like it's not realistic. The movies are still complete fantasy, yet you want to feign that they're real so you can then like take away some of the more like I don't know, kind of cool supernatural elements of some of those
Mhm.
supervillains and such like that. So
Yeah, I mean, I agree that like Nolan's striving for realness and groundedness does hamper the movies in a like believability capacity and also an emotional capacity, because when you're striving for that like uber realistic groundedness, like you feel like you have to be serious all the time. And so
Right.
you can take some of the lightness and the joy out of it. And I think, I mean, partially those movies are successful because of that, because there is such like a dark, seedy undertone that especially works well in the second one. Though I don't know that that's really Christian Bale's doing. I mean, I think
Right.
most of that is brought from Heath Ledger, who, very deservedly won accolades for that performance. Um, so I agree with you that I think the trilogy overall doesn't hold up as well over time, especially Batman Begins. I think there were some really good elements to that movie, but there were some really just like tough to swallow parts. Including Liam Neeson's Ra's al Ghul and just like the whole like training
What?
notion montage.
I don't
I
know.
rewatching that, I actually have a lot of problems with that. I think the second and third are more successful because they're not the origin story. They're just like already just like set up. And I also like the supporting cast of characters better in the second and third. But I don't know. There is something in their own way dated about those interpretations, because Batman isn't as serious on the whole when you look at like the run of different portrayals of Batman. They're a lot more emotionally and storyline wise, they're just a lot more complex than this very like limited scope that Nolan has.
I mean, well,
It,
it's hard to say limited scope for Nolan just because of the scale, the size
yeah, I just
of,
mean like
you know,
emotional
and
range. Like it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
so like that like hard line realness just limits it. Limits what you can
Mhm.
do, I think,
I mean,
with
he's
the
trying,
imaginative
when you talk
aspects
about
of Batman.
the Dark Knight, with the choice Batman has to make, his romance, and the what happens with Two-Face, like that's a emotional those are emotional moments and such.
Right, but like what I'm arguing is I think there's less of a range that he feels he can be in. Like if he gets too comedic, then it's not real.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those are absolutely emotional moments. I don't mean to say that there's no emotion in those films, because
Mhm.
there absolutely is. But when you have to be real, like I said, if you feel like you have to take everything seriously and you can't be funny, you can't be silly, you can't like, you know, have your Batman like look a fool at times, or, just have
Mhm.
like a completely wacky side character. Like even your villains have to be super realistic.
Mhm.
So that takes away your options, whereas like the Batman animated series isn't limited by that.
Yeah, well, and helps being animated
It does.
and,
It does.
as opposed to live action, and I thi
But, like,
it's
Nolan's Batman never would have room for a villain like Harley Quinn,
right, right.
because
No,
she's not
you do
serious enough.
yeah, it absolutely changes your choices, and I definitely appreciate both variations. I enjoy that there is, as much as I, would generally like things to stay true to source. It has been enjoyable over the years to see a variety of interpretations for the Batman. Um, I definitely have my favorites. The animated series and Batman Beyond being among them.
Yeah.
Um, it's definitely something we'll show to our kids, hope they like
Mhm.
it. It's and
Same.
it with that style, with the range of classic villains and everything, it really is timeless. It helps with a cartoon, but also with the Tim Burton perspective, where you create a bit of a fantasy-esque world. It's our world a little tilted, and
Mhm.
it makes it that helps create this timeless element where it's not it's obviously not exactly our world, and
Right.
it's more fun to be in that way when you're like trying to like, no, this is Chicago, this is what's going to be. It takes away that an element that can be enjoyed and
Right.
survive for longer, because it's now rooted to something a little more than developing its own world that you can kind of place more of your own ideas upon. So,
Mhm.
but anyways, we've talked Batman a lot on the show. We'll continue to
Sorry.
talk Batman a lot on this show. That's not going to change, but what will change, we won't be seeing Kevin Conroy as Batman anymore, unfortunately. So,
Yes.
um,
R.I.P., sir.
condolences to his family. Yeah.